Welcome to the community service segment of today's assembly. My name is Steve Wright. I'm with the Rotary Club of Pacifica, Classification Collection Management, happily retired. A little bit of housekeeping today. We ask that you put all of your questions for myself or any of the other speakers in the chat box. We will make every effort to get all the answers to those questions at the end of the session. Also, there will be a survey in the chat room, an address for the survey on SurveyMonkey. We encourage you to fill that out. Please be honest. Like everything else in Rotary, we are always looking to adapt and to make ourselves better. And the last comment before we get going with our community service segment is that I will be leaving personally after my own session, after my own presentation, because my services are required in one of the other sessions. So with that, let me go ahead and share the screen. And off we go with the community service session for our assembly today. We're going to start out today. There we go. We're going to cover 4 segments in the community service projects that I'm doing personally. The first is how to design a community service project in 6 steps. Next, how to review your current club projects and some tips on what to look for. Then, where do you find new community service projects? And finally, community service and how this can impact your membership. So to start out, the first step of the 6 simple steps in determining what a community service project is and should be, we encourage that you align it with our areas of focus. And hopefully we are getting the folks into the session. So currently we have 6 areas of focus. They're listed here in front of you. And kindly remember that shortly we will be having a 7th area of focus. This comes into effect on July 1st. So for those of you who thought I'd forgotten protecting the environment, quite the contrary. And on protecting the environment, during the second session today that starts at 11 a.m., John Mathers in our committee is also doing a complete session on protecting the environment. Now, keep in mind that we are not required under community service to focus on one of the areas of focus. We don't have to align with any of the areas of focus. However, we encourage that you do so just for continuity. If you want to add far more depth to your community service project, I would encourage you to look at the guidelines on the areas of focus at the Rotary website, RI, under the Rotary Foundation segment. Go looking under the Grant Center and look at the surveys, look at the areas of focus and the guidelines that are listed there. You'll find tremendous information about how to make your community service project align with one of the areas of focus. Again, this is not a requirement, just a suggestion. Next up, perform your community service assessment. What I'm getting at here is, does this project really meet a community need? Are there other groups that are already meeting this need? For example, if you want to do teacher mini grants, as I heard one of our local clubs do, they looked at the process and discovered that there were 3 other community groups already doing the teacher mini grants. Is this too large for your own group? Is this a session or a situation where you might be better off aligning with other community organizations? We have a SAFT going now, Simple Application for Trees with District 5150. We're encouraging our groups to work with other community organizations to best develop this program for planting more trees. Next, develop the funding. Is this a situation where with the project you have enough funding? Do you want to look at possibly a community fundraising project to get more money for your project? Develop the funding source. Next, when you're doing your project, look at the measurements of success. How do you know if your project is going to be a success if you don't have a measurement, if you don't know what it is you are looking at, what you are trying to accomplish? So please look at something when you're developing your project that will give you an idea that you are measuring your success going forward. Evaluate the sustainability. A lot of our projects in community service are one and dones. If you want to paint a library as an example, you paint it one time, you're done, and you move on to the next project. But if this is something that you want to have life after this first year, if you want this to be the first of many years with this project, what is the sustainability? Again, this is not a requirement at the community service level, but it most certainly is something that can have value going forward. So we encourage you to evaluate the sustainability. Finally, and I can't stress this one enough, thank those that have helped you and celebrate. Take the time to send a personal note of thanks, and I recommend snail mail, not email or a text. Send a personal thank you to every person who has helped on your own committee, with other organizations, with other community groups, and celebrate your success. There's absolutely nothing wrong and everything right with celebrating. Going back to that library, when you're done painting it, have a barbecue. Celebrate with the people that helped you what you have accomplished. That's all there is to putting together a simple community service project that can have dynamic results and positive results in your communities going forward for years to come. Now, let's take a look at your current projects. What are the current projects? When were they last reviewed? Are they still great projects? Do they make sense? Or is this something you've always done this project and you're always going to do this project? Are they still relevant? Are they needed? Are they useful? If so, then fantastic, keep them. If not, maybe it's time to move on. Do you have enough money for these projects now? If not, look at getting more money. Or if you have too much money for this project now, and isn't that a rare day, take a look at sharing some of the money from this project with other projects. Now, this next one, I can't stress enough. Are these projects that you're looking at sacred to any of your members? Keep in mind that every current project you have started as some Rotarian's brainstorm. It was their project. It may have become their pet, their love. Take care of your members before you just arbitrarily decide to sacrifice a project. If it doesn't make sense anymore, fine. But keep in mind, at some point, it did make a great deal of sense, and it might be sacred to some of your members. If you're not sure about what's sacred to your members or what's important to your members, and you think visioning might be a good idea, shoot me an email, get in touch with me, and I will put you together with the visioning team that might be a solution for you. So, current projects, where do you get new club projects? If you bring in a new member, do you sit down with that new member and say, hey, what's your passion? What are your ideas? What would you like to do in our club? It's a great source for new projects. Your speakers. Now, one bit of warning here, your speakers quite often will come to you and they'll have a new project they want you to be involved in. That's wonderful, but remember, we always want to use other people's money. Quite often your speakers want to do the same thing. They want to use our Rotarians' money for their projects. We are OPM for them, other people's money. Remember that Rotary is not a funding source for others. We have our own projects. Your member visits to other clubs. With Zoom, this is incredibly easy at this point. What are other clubs doing? You're going to hear a lot of suggestions today based on what other clubs are doing with their projects. It's a great source, and it's a tremendous compliment to an existing club to take their project and replicate it in your own club. Assemblies, you're here. Welcome. We're here to help those that are watching us learn about projects here. District conferences. Our next district conference is coming up on May 15th. That's a great place to find out about other projects. Rotary International conferences. Taiwan will be virtual. Visit their House of Friendship. You'll find 400, 500, 600 different projects, different booths in a House of Friendship. It's absolutely mind-boggling the kind of ideas you can pick up at an international conference. This one, I just learned this one from Danielle 2-3 weeks ago. She learned this from a friend of hers from back east. You're a newer member, you're a newer community service chair. Sit down with senior members, and we mentioned this earlier, and look at projects that may have been suspended in the past, may have been abandoned in the past. Is it possible that some of these projects from the past might have new legs, might be a good idea going forward? Talk to your senior members and see what they have done in the past. So membership. Community service is generally the reason people join Rotary. It is the largest percentage-wise reason for joining Rotary, not for staying in Rotary, but for joining. Our new emphasis on community service and RCAT and SRAG, or protecting the environment, most of us believe that this will be a tremendous source for new members. This is a great way to get your new members onto a community service committee. If this is what they wanted to join Rotary for, this is where you put them. It's also a great way to bring your seniors back in as a mentor to your younger members. Tremendous source here, especially with protecting the environment, to get your new members in to serve the community, and then get them active in Rotary, and to retain your senior members, get them into a mentorship program with your younger members. So to review this segment of community service for our assembly, we talked about designing a community service project in 6 steps, some ideas about reviewing current club projects, some ideas about new community service projects and where to get the ideas, community service and membership. And again, please put your questions in the chat box. And with that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Laura Curran from the Peninsula Starlight Club. And Laura, the session is yours. And my best to all of you, and thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm very excited to share this project idea with everyone. Trash cleanups. I think it's a perfect community service event. Sorry about that. Oh, so of course, cleaning up the environment is supportive of the new area of focus for Rotary. And it is incredibly simple. The logistics are easy. It can be done anywhere, and you can invite others to join you, and you can work individually as small, socially responsible groups. And it is helpful for the community, great for pandemic and post-pandemic opportunities, and helps our environment and wildlife. So we have lots of opportunities here in the Bay Area. We live in an amazing area. We have beach and trail opportunities. You can get outside, enjoy some great hiking while you're working. If you choose to partner and support a national park area or local park area, you might want to speak with a ranger. They may have some tools available for your use, or may take care of the parking fees for you if that is a situation, and provide great guidance. We did some great work with Ranger Stu at Coyote Point this past year. And while you're out there, as I said, the great vistas, you might get some surprising new experiences and explore some parks and areas that you may have not been to before. Another opportunity sometimes overlooked, your urban and neighborhood opportunity for cleanup. This picture was taken in a parking lot in Foster City. And you would be amazed at how much trash we picked up that day. And it's all important, not only visually for the beauty of the area, but also because any trash out on the parking lots and streets and neighborhoods, it can blow into our waterways, or it can end up going into the storm drains that lead to the bay. You'll see here, there's a lot of children. Trash cleanups is a great opportunity for multi-generational invitations. Bring the family, and again, between trails and parks and your neighborhoods, there's a lot of different terrain, making it easy and accessible for just about anyone. Here's some of our club members, and we invited some friends to join us. This is at Coyote Point. You'll see in the back to the right where the electrical pylons are there. That is where actually those storm drains that say leads to the bay, that's where some of them come out. You would be just surprised at the weird things that we've picked up there, and a lot. In terms of a sustainable project, trash cleanup is something you can do every weekend. So with this project, you can work by yourself. Sometimes I just go out and clean the neighborhood around me, or you can create connection. It's a wonderful opportunity to connect with other groups and other clubs. Here you can see we had 6 different clubs represented out at the coast. You can also work by yourself and create connection. Here's an example from the Rotary Club of Global Action, where they had individuals over the same day work in different locations internationally, and they all contributed to the same cleanup event. And how do we do that? There's a great program called this Clean Swell app. It's a free app for your smartphone where you can record your cleanups. Here's how it works. So you download it, easy to fill in. You can start a collection. If you didn't have the opportunity to do it real time, you can go back and record it later. Now here on this panel, when you start a cleanup, this is kind of key to name the group. I like doing it Rotary, D5150, and then the club name. And I'll show you why that's important in just a second. And then when you're doing your cleanup, you have the opportunity to record either bags of trash collected, or you can get very specific. Ocean Conservancy, which supports this app, uses that data for a lot of different types of reporting. So I went and looked at how the information is aggregated. I used the filter just for Rotary, and here are trash cleanups that happened all over the world using the Clean Swell app. Then I did a filter for D5150. Again, goes back to the naming, so you can kind of record, see what's happening. You can get very specific and look what your club has done with all of your members, or you could even challenge another club or collaborate with another club. A friendly challenge, of course. So at the end of the day, this is why I think it's a perfect community service project for today. It's easy for pandemic circumstances and moving forward very soon. Simple logistics, minimal investment required. If you need to pick up a grabber or a bucket, they're available at Home Depot or online, or you can just get a good pair of gloves. And it's measurable, tangible, and great for promoting. You can post it on social media, the fact that you're going to have an event, and also obviously your success afterwards. So it's a lot of fun. And Nick's Store is one in particular I recommend posting on, because you can post right in the community that you're impacting with your cleanup. A great quote from Bill Nye. It covers a lot of things, not just cleanups, trash cleanups, but I want to leave you with this opportunity in the very near term. Rotary Club for Global Action is promoting this cleanup over Earth Day for a couple days spanning. So I hope everyone can encourage their clubs to get out, download the Clean Swell app, and it will be amazing to see when we go back and look at that report, what we did all around the world, and particularly here in the Bay Area with the global cleanup. Thank you so much for your time. And to share more community service project ideas, I'm going to introduce to you from the Rotary Club of Novato, Jim Spillman.
Thank you, Laura. I'm Jim Strillman from the Rotary Club of Novato, and I'm going to share with you some ideas on supporting our veterans and some COVID style projects. One of the things that we have the opportunity here in the Bay Area is placing flags at our national cemeteries. We have the Golden Gate National Cemetery and the San Francisco National Cemetery. So that's one that we can do. It's outdoors and very COVID type of project. Another, we can partner with different veterans organizations. We've partnered at times with Blue Star Moms and help them package care packages and provide some of the content for those care packages. And they've been able to do this still in a COVID friendly environment. Normally before COVID, there were tables and you were right next to each other. They just stretched out the tables and are still able to handle things wearing a mask and maintaining social distancing. The other thing that we've done here at our club, we've helped the VFW a lot. So you can check with local veterans groups and see what their needs might be. We were able with the VFW to help, and I've got some slides on that later, help with some of their particular needs. Red poppies, that's always a way to a symbol of remembrance and hope for a peaceful future. Wear red at Rotary meetings. Red is remembering everyone deployed. I just happened to see this lady at a store and ask her permission to take a picture of her t-shirt. She was very happy to show it off. And she said, you can wear this any day of the week, not just Fridays. There's a program putting wreaths across the nation. The next wreath day will be December 18th of 2021. And they're always looking for volunteers. Again, this is outdoor work and certainly works from a COVID perspective. In Novato, the city of Novato has have some banners that represent or that show off some of our veterans. These two banners, if you know either one of these gentlemen, they were on one of the street posts, proudly displayed as veterans, and a nice tribute to them. There's, in Marin County, there's a homeless veterans outreach. There's a goal to make sure there are no homeless veterans. And there are a lot of veteran people, but this particular outreach is targets veterans to find them housing. And you can look in your area and see what you can do to support that effort. Suicide prevention is something that we're all interested in. There's a veterans crisis hotline, and they have crisis intervention available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so that's something that you can look at and see. You could volunteer there, see what kind of support you could offer. I've got some COVID style projects. One of the things we've done recently is there's a brick lane project at our city hall, and these are engraved bricks. In fact, we were just able to participate in that program yesterday, and this is installing grave bricks. What happened for the 3 Rotary clubs in Novato, each of the clubs purchased a brick for every past president. So yesterday we installed 140 on Wednesday. That wasn't yesterday, but seems like yesterday. On Wednesday, we installed 142 bricks representing all the past and current presidents of the 3 Rotary clubs in Novato. So this is a great way to advertise Rotary and support the city in the process. Another thing we were able to do in November, we had a car wash. It's a fundraiser for recognizing our teachers in Novato. And that was a COVID style project. So we had 4 people. We don't wash cars, to be very forthright here. We just dry them. And so we would assign 4 people to a car. Each person had 1/4 by a tire. And so they would maintain their social distancing. They were all wearing gloves and masks. Another project I had mentioned earlier that we did for the VFW, they had a backyard area behind their VFW hall that they wanted fenced. So we were able to install this fence for them, and this will enable them to have social events outside once the weather permits. Another project that we're currently engaged in right now is with the North Marin Community Services Food Bank. Every Tuesday, they package about 250 packages of food in the morning, and in the afternoon, people that need food drive through, and they're very strong on social distancing, wearing a mask. But I have to share with you, this picture was taken on Tuesday when we were packaging food, and everybody took their mask off for the picture so they could be recognized. Another item that I failed to get in this deck is trees. And Steve had mentioned the tree project. And I know Rotary clubs in Novato are looking at planting trees, and they're hoping to do it with the College of Marin. So you have to find a public entity that is willing to maintain the trees once they're planted. That concludes my talk here, and at this time I want to turn it over to Janet Fogarty from the Millbrae Club. Janet, take it away.
Thank you, Jim. Let me see if I can get my slides up here. So I'm going to talk today about a story of how the community of Millbrae came together to save a 50-year-old building from demolition and restored it for a youth center and an after-school homework center. This was done a few years ago, and the slides, I want to acknowledge Dennis Fama, who put these slides together. So in 1954, the Millbrae Lions Club signed a ground lease with the Millbrae School District to use land next to the middle school to build a hall with a kitchen and bathrooms to use for Boy Scout meetings. And after decades of use, the school district ordered the building closed because they were afraid of strangers being on campus. It was fenced off and it was boarded up. So this is what the Scout House looked like. What happened though, instead of preserving it, it basically was attacked by vandals who regularly climbed the fence, broke into the boarded up windows, set fires inside, and graffitied all of the walls. So the school district wanted it demolished, and they told the Lions Club to take it down. The Lions Club, after a lot of discussion, wanted to try to save it and rehabilitate it for an after-school center. One of the Lions, former Mayor Dan Quigg, approached me as both a friend and as a lawyer to see what could be done to try to get the school district on board with allowing it to be rehabilitated. And also the end of this would be to turn it over to the city for recreation programs for kids in town. So we needed the city of Millbrae on board as well. So coincidentally, I had just joined the Rotary Club, and President Rick Chin at the time held a visioning meeting, and the club was looking for a community project such as building a community center for kids. I mentioned the Lions Club project, and it was decided at the meeting that Rick Chin would approach the president of the Lions Club and ask if they wanted to work together on the project. What developed was a friendly rivalry between the Lions Club and the Millbrae Rotary Club to see which of us could do more to make it happen. It was determined that the effort needed someone from the community to help get it all organized and to head the fundraising effort. In the meantime, we negotiated with the school district, and we got the lease extended to allow the building to stay on the grounds. And we got the city to agree that if the community could raise the funds and get the work done to rehabilitate the building, the city would take it over. But we only had 2 years to do it. That leader in the community that we found was Dennis Fama. And Dennis had not been involved in the public, but he was a consultant on helping nonprofits with their goal setting and their planning. And so he was a very good person to get the thing organized. What happened was we, as a committee, approached all of the other groups in town that we thought might be part of this effort. We were trying to leverage both the hands and backs of people to do the work, as well as leveraging people's contacts and trying to get fundraisers going. So we eventually ended up with the Millbrae Lions Club, the Millbrae Rotary Club, the Millbrae Community Foundation, the Boy Scouts, the Leos, the Interact Club, the Millbrae Historical Society, the Peninsula Chinese Business Administration, uh, Owners Association, the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce, Rebuilding Together Peninsula, the Millbrae School District, the City of Millbrae, local churches, local businesses, and the Rotary Club of San Francisco Airport, and also our then State Assemblyman, Jerry Hill. So these folks helped in a lot of ways to do both the cleanup, which I'll show you here, some of the mess that was here that needed to be tackled. And then here's another picture of some of the crowd. Uh, in this picture are several council members who showed up to help, as well as folks from all of these different organizations. After the cleanup started the renovation. The carpet tiles that are being laid were donated by San Francisco Airport. They had them excess left over from doing work at the airport terminal, and they were just taking up space in a warehouse. That was a kind of donations that came in to help keep the costs down. Here's some pictures of the before and after. Um, and it'll show you, this is the kitchen, for instance, in 2010 and in 2011. Here's the main hall, 2010, 2011. That's looking north of the hall. On the outside, the Lions had hired an architect and an engineer to check out the structure itself, and they found that actually the structure was very sound. There was some earthquake updates that needed to be done, but other than that, and the most of it was cosmetic that needed to be done. They put in a community garden in front, and here are some of the kids who were involved. This, this effort built friendships all around the community. In 2011, we had our first fundraiser, which was an Oktoberfest. And you can see from this banner, Rotary, next to that is the logo for the Millbrae Community Foundation. Next to that is the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce. Next to that is the Lions Club. Next to that is Peninsula Chinese Business Association. We had donations from many businesses, from all of the local folks. We had the Rotaract group come help us because we were serving beer and we couldn't have interactors do that. And generally, everybody had just a great time. We had an Oompa polka band and had a lot of fun. So these partnerships continued throughout the project, and I have to tell you, they're continuing today. The second event was, we called it the Spirit of Aloha. We were trying to raise $15,000 to match challenge grants from the Millbrae Lions Club. Assemblyman Jerry Hill was our auctioneer and did a fantastic job. San Francisco Airport Rotary offered the San Francisco Airport Museum for the event. We had local businesses donating auction items, and Jerry Hill got the funds well over the top of the $15,000 we were looking for. Here's Rotarian Rick Chin, and they had arranged for retired Pan Am Stu to be one of the greeters at the program. She had a great time, and then came to our club afterwards and talked about being a stewardess for Pan Am back in the day. This is a look at the spread that was put on. it was all bite-sized food because we didn't want people sitting down to dinner. We wanted them to get up, look around at the silent auction items, get prepared for the live auction. This is Assemblyman Jerry Hill and our mayor at the time, Marge Colapietro. Both were great supporters. So the Rotary Club donated the glass doors and made them accessible, and also a ramp so that the facility would be accessible to the disabled. Then furniture, games, computers were all donated by people in the community. In this picture are, on the right are two of our Rotarians, Rick Chin and Tom Dowdy. And on the left, Councilman, former Mayor Dan Quigg, who started the whole thing, and Mike Gianni, who's a local contractor, also at the Lions Club. This is the view looking out those windows that had been all boarded up. New stoves were donated because the antique 50-year-old stove couldn't be salvaged. And when we were done, the city bought the facility for $1. On the right is our mayor at the time, Gina Pappen. On the left is the president of the Lions Club at the time. And that $1 was the only public funds that were used for this project. Here you are looking again out the window from inside. The city of Millbrae, when they took over the project, they then went out to bid. They hired the Boys and Girls Club to run after school program and the summer programs for youth, because this is of course located, as I mentioned, right next to the Taylor Middle School. So the takeaways from this project were that first of all, if you're out in the community and you have the pulse of the community, you will find projects that need doing. Secondly, if you leverage by partnering with other community organizations, you can accomplish so much more than you can accomplish on your own. And the third takeaway from this is that friendships come from working together for great projects. Even with COVID, this community center for youth is being used today. So I thank you very much. And I would like to introduce the next speaker, Stacy Vance. Stacy.
Thank you so much, Janet.
And I will try to stop sharing.
Okay. Pardon me here. Okay, wonderful. Sorry for that. Thank you all so much for joining this session today. I am so excited to share some information about blood drives and our partnership with our local organization called Vitalent. So as a quick overview, blood donations in terms of, participating or generally considering them a community service project, they're a very unique opportunity to give back to your community. And it's one of the most personal contributions you can make. You're literally giving a part of yourself pint by pint with each donation that you give. And I think it's a really incredible thing. Our community partner, Vitalent, is a nonprofit organization, and it's a network of community blood centers, including our local Bay Area organization, which was formerly called Blood Centers of the Pacific. In terms of establishing blood drives, there is a very strong partnership with Rotary clubs and with Rotary District 5150 with Vitalent, and Vitalent has really amazing local representatives who help us through every single step of the blood drive process. And there are two options to host blood drives. The first one being what I will refer to as a traditional blood drive. This idea is probably what we all know as a blood drive. It's, in your office or in a high school gymnasium or on the bloodmobile. And so to go over kind of the who, what, when, where, why of a blood drive, why might be really obvious, but I think it's worth reiterating that one donation has the potential to save up to 3 lives. There is no substitute for human blood, and blood banks and local hospitals, hospitals across our entire nation rely on donors like us to ensure that they have sufficient blood, and it's blood, platelets, and plasma, all available to meet their blood needs and to save people. So in terms of hosting a blood drive, for this traditional model, Vitalent would suggest that you start the conversation about 2 months prior to when you'd want to have your drive. So that's in order to nail down a date and also to determine a location and give yourself enough time to recruit donors and to get the word out. Over the last, our Rotary year so far, District 5150 has hosted over a handful of blood drives in our communities and has had really great success. So as a blood drive coordinator, if any of you on behalf of your clubs want to participate, you, as I said, are working really closely hand in hand with a Vitalent representative who will help you with managing your signups and monitoring who has kept their appointment, and then also getting the data on how much you actually collected and how successful your drive was. The new to the COVID era blood drive opportunity is what is called a virtual blood drive. So the idea of this is very similar to like a walkathon, where normally in the pre-COVID world, if you had a walkathon, you'd all be walking maybe around the high school field all together. But in a virtual setting, you can still participate in that way. You make your blood donation at a particular site, and it'll all get credited to the organization. In this case, it would be us, who is hosting that. So you don't have to be going to, the YMCA location to donate. You can donate at any of the 120 donation centers with Vitalent that's available across the country, or donating at an existing blood drive. And I'll take this moment to point out that in our district alone, there are 4 locations, like permanent locations. So there are 2 Vitalent locations in San Francisco, 1 in San Mateo, and there's also 1 recurring monthly blood drive in our community in Marin County. So any of those are opportunities to go to if you're going to be donating through a virtual blood drive. It's more COVID friendly, right? Because you can space out when you want to go, how many people are donating from your club can go, also when it's feasible for them to make an appointment. If your date range is over 1 week or 2 weeks or something like that, there's an opportunity for higher participation. And again, for a virtual blood drive, you will be working very closely with a Vitalent representative, monitoring all of it and getting the word out. But we would encourage, if you're going to take one of these on, to really rely on your club members to get the word out to your local community. And it's my pleasure to announce our district 2021-2022 blood drive goals. We are aiming to have 8 blood drives hosted by District 5150 next Rotary year. And so you'll see it's 3 in Marin, 3 in San Mateo, 1 in San Francisco. And then we are aiming to have 1 virtual blood drive. Our hope is not only to make an impact and have those blood donations help our community, but also possibly to inspire any of you to take on hosting a drive in your community and working with maybe your local community partners. So I would just like to say thank you to all of you for considering this. Evidence that I practice what I preach. I've been donating for a number of years now, and it's not scary. And any of you who have questions about donating, you can, or the Rotary aspect of it, please reach out to me. You can take a screenshot of my contact information there. And then the top image is how to sign up to host a blood drive. That's vitalent.org, and you can navigate to host a blood drive. There is a plethora of information there, and any of our local Vitalent representatives would be more than happy to speak with you about becoming a host. So thank you so much. A little bit of a segue, on behalf of the entire Community Service Committee, I would like to invite all of you to engage with us in our Rotary D5150 Community Service Committee Facebook page. So this is a place where you can find updates about not only district community service events, but also you can post your own, and you can invite each other, and it'll be a space for us to use to promote community service in our district. And that is it. Thank you so much. And Laura, I can turn it back to you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Stacy. Thank you. And thank you to all our presenters with these great community service projects for all clubs to adopt and replicate. And so the contact information for all of the speakers this morning is available, and I'm sure they'd all be very, very, very happy to share more information with your club and your community service chairs, or even bring the information to your club. With that, do we have any questions for any of the speakers or the Community Service Committee?
There's a question in the chat that says, if I go into donate blood at Vitalent Center, how does Rotary get credit?
So if you are participating, well, first, Rotary, either a club or the district, would need to set up that virtual blood drive. If you go in on your own and donate blood without there being a virtual blood drive set up, there will be no credit given. But in the future, when we do have a district virtual blood drive, there will be a link that will be sent out. And when you sign up through that link, all of the tracking of appointments and donations will be tracked through that link, and whomever is the coordinator for that virtual blood drive will be able to track all of it, and that is how all of the tracking and credit will work for Rotary.
Casey, a follow-up question for you. Chris from Nevada said, my experience is once you donate blood to the blood bank, they pester to donate again and again. Can Vitalent prevent that?
I will say that I have also had a similar experience. I think, Chris, that was your question. The reason for that is that there is almost always a shortage of blood and very few people who give on a recurring basis. So Vitalent are those same people calling you asking for you to donate every 6 weeks or so. So that's kind of something that you deal with, but a way to get out of that is to become a recurring donor and make an appointment every 6 weeks.
Are there any other questions? Feel free to take them in the chat.
I also, Stacy, just to piggyback on that question, I kind of remember when I did the donation at a recent blood drive where you're signing up and you're putting in your information. There might be a box to check on whether you would like to receive further invitations or not. I don't guarantee that, but that seems to be something I remember. But definitely being a recurring donor is the best solution. Do we have any other questions for any of the presenters, or would anyone like to share anything community service project related? Bob.
Somebody if they want to share.
Bob Herman.
Can you hear me now? Because it said I couldn't unmute myself. I need the host to unmute me.
There you are. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. So one of the things I didn't hear anyone say, but I'm sure a number of the clubs responded last year with COVID. We are still responding with COVID support to many organizations. In fact, we have a PPE project that we're doing for 3 days this week to provide gowns to a number of healthcare organizations in the Bay Area, from San Mateo to Hayward to San Leandro. We're not over with COVID, folks. People need support. They need gowns, and that's what this particular project is. And one of the things that our club is starting to do more of is collaborating with other Rotary clubs, because I do think there is strength in numbers and opportunities. Lori mentioned to us last year about the Clean Swell application. I know some of our members did it. I probably logged it in incorrectly. Some statistics weren't there. In fact, I just looked it up. But at the end of the day, there's so many opportunities to participate in conjunction with others. So I think, one of the things I would just say is talk to your other Rotarians too, not just within your club, but branch out, because the more we do, the more we empower people, the better the world becomes. And thank you to all the speakers, especially about the veterans too, that spoke to me today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob. That was brilliant. I'm going to invite you to share your projects on the Facebook Community Service, District Community Service Facebook page. And this segue into the collaborative nature of our projects. I'm so excited to see that happening more and more this year and moving forward. I think there is strength in numbers and so many more ideas and ways to share what we can do with each other and for each other and get the word out. So please utilize the Facebook page, reach out to your friends and other clubs. And it's a great way not only to raise awareness of Rotary in the community, but to develop friendships with members in other clubs and the community. So thank you for that share, Bob. Really appreciate it. And thank you again to everyone who joined us this morning. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day at Assembly.